Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're looking at, well, a fascinating economic story. It's unfolding right there in the shadow of the Great Wall. We're talking about the monumental rise of China's tech giant, Huawei. And what makes their story so incredibly compelling isn't just the growth itself, which is huge. It's how they managed it while facing, really daunting geopolitical tensions and these relentless trade restrictions, mainly from the U.S. So, our mission today, we're going to unpack Huawei's strategic playbook. We've gathered articles, research, notes, and we'll dig into how exactly they engineered a path forward when, frankly, so many predicted they'd decline. The goal is to pull out the key insights for you, to show how adversity can sometimes be a catalyst, a real driver for innovation and self-reliance in global business. Okay, so let's wind back a bit. 1987, that's when Ren Zhengfei, who was a former military engineer, founded Huawei. And for years, honestly, they were just another firm kind of finding their feet in China's booming electronics industry. But then, around the mid-2010s, something really shifted dramatically. Huawei started solidifying its position.
They went from being just another firm to a genuine global leader in telco equipment. And when we say global leader, we mean dominant. We found this Geloro Group study showing that by 2020, Huawei had grabbed a massive 28% market share. That effectively put them ahead of their Swedish rival, Ericsson.
Yeah, 28%. That's a huge slice of the market.
Exactly. So that's a massive leap, right?
Yeah.
What was really driving that early growth, even before the big geopolitical storm clouds gathered, was it price? Technology? Or something else that let them just eclipse a giant like Ericsson so fast?
That's a really good question because it does set the stage for everything that followed. What's fascinating, and maybe a bit ironic, is that this rapid ascent, this aggressive market capture, it didn't go unnoticed, especially not in the West. This dominance, combined with, well, allegations of ties to the Chinese government, really started ringing alarm bells. Particularly in the U.S., there was this growing feeling, this perception that Huawei could be a kind of Trojan horse.
A security risk.
Exactly, potentially jeopardizing national security interests. And this alarm, it led to a pretty unprecedented response. The Trump administration kicked off a series of really sweeping bans, basically prohibiting American tech firms from trading with Huawei.
Okay.
And the truly decisive blow landed in May 2019. That's when Huawei got placed on the, well, infamous entity list.
Right, the entity list. That was huge news.
It was. And this wasn't just some minor inconvenience. It effectively slammed the door shut. U.S. companies were barred from supplying Huawei with essential components, especially those critical high-tech semiconductors.
So the chips.
The absolute core, yeah. It targeted Huawei's lifeblood, its ability to get the cutting-edge hardware it needed. Honestly, that was the moment when many observers, many analysts genuinely thought, okay, this is it. They predicted a rapid decline, maybe even a collapse.
And yet,
yeah,
that's not what happened. Instead of decline, what we saw was Huawei pulling off what many are calling an ingenious counteroffensive. I was looking through the research, and this quote from Ren Zhengfei in 2020 really jumped out. Survival is our first priority.
A powerful statement.
It really captures that mindset, right? It drove this incredible internal shift. They focused like a laser on developing a self-sustaining supply chain. They pivoted hard into software and very deliberately diversified away from those volatile foreign markets.
And the commitment wasn't just talk. The scale was staggering.
Yeah, the numbers are pretty wild. We're talking over $20 billion.
$20 billion, yeah.
Pumped into R&D in 2020 alone.
And importantly, that wasn't just throwing cash around hoping something would stick. It was highly strategic investment.
Right.
A prime example, look at Harmony OS. They poured nearly $1 billion into developing their own operating system.
To get away from Android dependency.
Precisely. It was explicitly designed to reduce that reliance on Google's Android ecosystem, which was clearly, vulnerable given the sanctions. And you have to say, it worked surprisingly well. By 2023, Harmony OS was on over 300 million devices worldwide.
300 million. Wow.
Yeah, smartphones, tablets, all sorts of IoT gadgets. It's a pretty impressive reach in just a few years, especially, considering the headwinds they face.
Okay, but here's where it gets, for me, really interesting and frankly, kind of astonishing.
Yeah.
They didn't just survive on the software side. They engineered this truly impressive counter strategy through domestic innovation. Think about this. 2022, they unveiled their flagship Mate series phones, equipped with a Kirin 9000S chipset. Now, what makes that so iconic isn't just the performance of the chip itself.
Right. It's where it came from.
Exactly. It was developed by China's Semiconductor Manufacturing International Corporation, SEPC, China's top chip maker.
A huge deal
Yeah,
domestically.
absolutely. And the sources we looked at really highlight this. That move underscored Huawei's incredible skill, their adeptness at building this complex web of domestic partners specifically to get around those international tech embargoes.
It wasn't just clever engineering, was it?
No, it was a brilliant strategic networking too. A feat of both. So, okay, what does this all mean for other businesses out there navigating similar kinds of global challenges? Is this a model other companies could actually replicate? Or is it kind of unique to Huawei's scale, its situation, maybe even its government backing?
That's really the million-dollar question, isn't it? Or
Right.
maybe the multi-billion-dollar question here. If we try to connect this to the bigger picture, Huawei's resilience, it's not just about one company's fight. It's become a powerful symbol,
Mm.
a symbol of the increasing independence and, frankly, sophistication of China's whole semiconductor industry.
An industry seen as a weak spot for a long time.
Exactly. For ages, it was widely perceived as China's Achilles heel in its high-tech ambitions. And what's truly fascinating, maybe even paradoxical, is how the U.S. efforts to technologically decouple, to create distance.
Yeah, to sanctions and restriction.
Yeah. Well, this intense Sino-American tech rivalry seems to have inadvertently accelerated China's drive towards self-reliance. It's become this pivotal moment in their ambition to perhaps eventually surpass Silicon Valley in the global tech race.
So Huawei's journey then, it kind of becomes this real cautionary tale within the whole globalization narrative.
Definitely.
It vividly illustrates that double-edged sort of interdependence we see in global supply chains.
Absolutely. You rely on others, it gives you efficiency, but it also creates vulnerabilities.
And for businesses, for policymakers around the world, Huawei's story perhaps offers a template. It shows how facing immense adversity, like existential threats, can actually catalyze a company to dig deeper, to look at its own assets, and engineer a more self-sustaining economic model.
But we should be clear, it's important to acknowledge that Huawei's path forward is still incredibly steep. It's not like they've solved everything.
No, definitely not.
The real test moving forward lies in sustaining this momentum. They face ongoing regulatory hurdles, challenges, and ensuring they can seamlessly integrate their innovations, especially things like Harmony OS and their chips, into global markets, particularly outside China. That's a big question mark.
That integration piece is key.
It is. But as we've seen from looking through the sources, if their past performance is anything to go by, Huawei isn't just likely to endure. They seem set to potentially redefine what's actually possible for these emerging giants in a new kind of multipolar economic order. And this brings up a really important question for all of us, I think. What fundamental lessons does Huawei's story teach us about resilience, about adaptation, in this rapidly changing, interconnected world we live in?
Okay, so to quickly recap what we've deep dived into today, we've seen how Huawei took truly daunting external pressure sanctions, restrictions, and transformed it, turned it into this strategic drive for self-reliance, for innovation, particularly pushing hard into software like Harmony OS and boosting domestic semiconductor production.
A remarkable pivot.
It really is. And understanding this journey gives you, the listener, a vital grasp of the powerful forces shaping global tech, shaping supply chains, and driving economic competition right now. So as you go about your week, here's something to maybe mull over. What lessons can other industries, or perhaps even entire nations, take from Huawei's playbook when they're faced with existential threats to their supply chains or their market access?